all tangled up.
It felt weird when we realized we no longer had anything keeping us tied to the Sedona and Cottonwood area. I came out here with a purpose, and that plan was over. With a blank canvas and a giant country of options, how could we possibly choose where to go next? We originally intended to chase fair weather all winter and avoid freezing water temps. We really had our eyes on Baja California. Mexicali was only about 5.5 hours away from Cottonwood. We could almost taste the tacos. But we had business to tend to regarding our big rig in Louisville, Kentucky. So instead of heading further west towards Baja, we went the opposite direction. We had a couple of weeks until we needed to meet with the team at Tracks Off Grid. We could travel slower, stop anywhere that looked interesting, we could camp in multiple places if we wanted. Thanksgiving was almost here, and for various reasons, we knew we wouldn't spend this one with our families like normal. Brian said, "How do you feel about spending Thanksgiving on the beach?" So our new goal was to camp and drive on the beach at Padre Island, Texas. The route would take us a couple of days, and we would pass right by our favorite wild camp near Tucson. So of course we said yes to spending more time there. Here is some of my favorite content from our second round in this dreamy place. The weather gave us a spectacular show this time. Rainstorms in the desert are something else. This was my first time experiencing what it smells like. My first time seeing the cactuses swell up. My first time seeing the colors change vividly. It's like everything swelled up and clung onto every drop that fell onto its flesh. The wet dirt smell was what I noticed the most. It was still a fresh smell because of the rain, but the way it mixed with the earth was unlike any other smell I've experienced after a rainstorm. The rolling clouds lingered for a while. A few birds darted here and there. We really enjoyed this slower pace for a couple of days. We tried to make as many micro-adventures as possible during weekdays after work. We can officially cross a new national park off the list. This visit was short because we ran out of daylight, but it was still worth the effort. It confirmed to us that the campsite near Tucson feels exactly like you're camping in the middle of Saguaro National Park. There's an east side and a west side of the park. We were closer to the west side. It had an easy scenic drive on dirt for those who want to explore via vehicle. The saguaros are more dense and younger in this part of the park. Rangers at the visitor center told us that the east side offers more challenging hikes, for humans only, no pets, and vegetation is less dense due to the change in elevation. They also showed us several displays of various poisonous critters we might encounter. I was very glad to be there while it's cold outside so that we had less of a chance running into scorpions, snakes, spiders, and wasps. All things in the desert are prepared to defend themselves. I will gladly admire from afar. Instagram has been an amazing place for connections. I can't believe some of the things that have happened as a result of simply being brave enough to say hi to somebody I've never met. There are 2 badass women I've connected with who have been very encouraging to us. They both happen to live near Tucson and wanted to meet in real life. Liz and I met for lunch at Tonaho Chol Bistro. I had blueberry French toast and it was to die for. I'm so glad that Liz recommended Mount Lemmon because it wasn't on our radar at all, and it turned out to be incredible.
Waiting for the next thing. You
waiting for the best thing to come around. Forget about the stressing. I can't just see it's pressing your spirit down. Tell me I'm wrong, don't wanna be let out. When your shadow is long, 'cause when the liquor is strong, start singing along, sing along. Well, always stand up as you're making the call. A few boards in the back and the start on the bra. I love you big and small, short and tall. When you fall, I love you once and all.
The next day, I met Savannah at Wren Coffee House. I had a cinnamon raisin bagel with goat cheese, fig spread, pear, and arugula. It was also to die for. Liz and Savannah, thank you so much for taking time to meet with a stranger and become Insta friends. I sincerely hope we can gather around a campfire sometime in the near future to share more stories and good food. And I have to give a shout out to Laura for connecting us because she's a common factor between the four of us. Seriously, y'all, be brave and find yourself some Insta friends. Good. Adiós, Arizona. See you later. The desert was awesome, but now it's time for some beach. We drove from Tucson to a wild camp near Sunshine, New Mexico for a short night of sleep. It was dark when we arrived, and it was dark when we left the next morning.
Welcome to Texas.
852 miles to Beaumont.
That might be the most amount of mileage I've ever seen on a sign before.
But that's the other side of the state too.
Then we had a breakfast date with our cousins in El Paso. This was a real treat for us because they're so much fun to be with and we don't see them very often. They gave us more great advice about traveling to Baja. We agreed we all have to go together just to worry our mothers to death.
Use the left lane to take the I-10 East ramp, then merge onto I-10 East.
After parting ways, we drove along the US and Mexico border, and I realized this was the closest to Mexico I had ever been. Then I almost ran the truck out of gas. We were on a long stretch in Texas and we had about a quarter tank of gas. I was driving and lost track of the miles. Next thing I knew, we had 14 miles to empty and the closest station ahead of us was 21 miles. So I made a snap decision and turned around in the middle of the interstate because I knew that there was a station a few miles behind us. Praying the whole way there, we rolled in with 2 miles to empty. I have since learned that our gas tank actually has around 2 more gallons past empty, but I don't like to cut it that close. We spent the night near San Antonio in our favorite convenient place, a truck stop parking lot. Look at all the birds. Look at all the birds. we snagged a spot at Malachite Campground on Padre Island. It was our first paid campsite of the trip, $14 a night. They don't take reservations, so you have to just show up and hope there's a spot. We happened to arrive around checkout time, so a few spots opened up. We were so excited for this to be our home for the next 6 days. After we staked our ground, we immediately took a stroll on the beach. But we'll save that part for episode 5.